this evening is for the budget hearings. And first on the agenda is the Board of Assessors, Ms. Kelly Costa, who's the Principal Assessor. Good evening, Kelly.
Hi, how are you?
Good, and yourself?
Good. As Mr. Satan said, I am Kelly Costa. I'm the Principal Assessor. My board members were unable to attend this evening, but this was the vote of the budget I'm presenting was presented to them at a meeting and voted upon. I don't know how you would like me to start it or present it, by line item?
Yeah, why don't we go right by line item so that you
Certainly.
have an understanding of where you're coming from.
Okay, and I'll give my little snippet after each one as to the rationale. Will
That's
that
fine.
work?
That works.
Okay, we'll start with just like how it's listed on the recommended budget worksheet. Salary, elected board assessors, the department request is $8,100, 2.5 increase. The vote was basically based upon, after they reviewed and they looked at their salaries and the cost of living adjustment, that was the number that they chose to present. Just a little
Excuse me,
side
Kelly,
note.
that's not the number.
Yeah, I got 7,900.
Well, they voted 8,100. I was gonna get into that.
Oh, okay.
Julie Heber, the finance director, she sent me an email stating that it was going to be level funded due to what she had stated was a bylaw
No.
that calls for the elected salaries to stay the same.
The elected salaries have to be established by a vote at town meeting, and the request has to come from the elected board itself, not from the department.
So there it is.
Okay.
So I'm presenting as was voted, which is the $8,100.
Okay.
Second is salary assistant assessor or principal assessor, $65,000. That number, the rationale of that number was based on the wage and classification study that was done by HRS, which placed the position of principal assessor at a grade 12. After looking at the numbers and analyzing them, grade 12, step 4, put that position right about at that salary range. Third line item is $44,536, salary clerical, that's for the administrative assistant. It's no longer a senior clerk, it's an administrative position, that's the title of Sue Pickard's position, and that's basically, that increase of salary is based on the union contract. Salaries overtime is at level funded, $1,200. And longevity is presented at $1,600. She has an anniversary of 15 years, which by contract increases her longevity to be $800. So we each get $800 to culminate the $1,600. Then the remaining, which is the spending line items, the R&M office equipment, $175. That's basically used. There's still a typewriter in the Board of Assessors office. That typewriter is there for the historical, the history cards for the chain of title. Those monies are used for the repair of that and the maintenance of that machine. Triennial certification is at $28,000. That number was put in there at the presentation, but it looks like the contract that we're meeting with our vendor will be actually the $24,500 as it has been historically. But when I presented the budget, I did not have the actual contract in place, so it was a speculated number just to make sure that it would cover the cost. Management consulting, that is basically a lister line item. Those monies are used to maintain the cyclical inspections as per statute of the Department of Revenue, where the 10-year cycle, the town of Acushnet right now is in year 7 of a 10-year cycle, where the mission statement of that is to actually try to get in and measure and list or to inspect each improvement in town. Right now, it's a vendor, she's an outsourced vendor, which she is an appraiser, and she goes out and does this for me. Printing and binding is pretty self-explanatory, it's level funded at $180. Communication and advertising, level funded at $300. Training and testing, $800, that's used for meetings and things of that nature, and where I need to go for certification points to maintain my accreditation status with the MAAO. Camel licensing fee, $10,400, that's an increase, of course, set forth by the contract and the vendor. Plot plans, $1,100, level funded. Registry deeds and probate, level funded, $500. Office supplies, level funded, $1,000. Software expense, $2,500. That's used for CAI Technologies right now is the company we use to maintain the GIS data. And the conservation agent right now is who holds the license and the software on her for her use. But what will be happening, of course, that's maintained annually, but just a little side note that I'm looking to integrate the GIS with our camera system, so it'll all be interactive and integrate. Cost may be obviously more than the expense, which is annual, which is the maintenance of all the new lots and the digitized mapping, but that's still a projection. I'm not sure where that will fall monetarily. Travel, $500, also level funded, and lastly, dues, subscriptions, and membership, $300, level funded.
I just have one question on the management consulting.
Yes.
Is that a contract?
No.
Because I see we spend the $5,000.
It's not a contract. She gets, depending on the extent of what she does with each parcel, it's a cost per visit, per improvement. So it's not by contract, it's by the production or what she turns around.
Okay. So you set the limit at once that limit is reached,
It's done for the year.
it's done for the year.
Right. Ultimately, we try to, the town has approximately 5,000 parcels. So if we get 500 a year, we meet our quota and within the statutes of the guideline as set forth by the DOR.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Certainly.
The salaries clerical, third line down,
Yep.
that 19.7% raise, that's union contract?
Yep. She had a change in position.
Okay.
And then their new contract that negotiates, that's where it calculates out
Plus-
to be at step 5.
Plus last year's raise wasn't in the comparison number?
Yep.
So
Correct.
another 2%.
It's really a makeup as well. Okay.
Yes.
They changed the position in the sense it was a
Rated
upgrading.
step.
An upgrade
Yes.
of step, and then change the name of it.
Was that based on, it wasn't based on that wage and classification study, was it?
No, she's union, so it's based on the
Union,
union
okay.
contract.
Okay.
Actually, the union's a little farther ahead with wage and classification. They've done that years ago.
Mhm.
So,
I have one more question.
Certainly.
Triennial certification, what exactly is that?
The Department of Revenue requires every community, every third year to go through what they call a revaluation. The 2 down years are interim years. So it's called triennial certification because every third year is a more in-depth analytical look at how the town surmises its values and how we get there.
So would the cost be the same every year?
It depends on the contract and how the contract is basically what's described on it. This year, we have the 1-year contract. FY20 is a triennial certification year for us, and that was the quote for the 1 year, the 24.5, which is higher, actually less than what's being projected. We will be going out for bid for future years, probably, and depending on how the bid is written and how it's going to be presented, it may be for a year at a time. My opinion, would hope for a multiple year contract.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Another question directed to Mr. Noble. You mentioned, we were talking about, just when we started, so I didn't get up to speed, on the first one, the Board of Assessors, you said it was an increase to 81 from the 79. Is that correct?
the board itself is telling Kelly to change that number to 81, which would represent a 2.5% increase.
Correct, okay. And you mentioned that only the boards can request an increase.
The board should ask the finance committee directly and not send it through staff.
Okay, no, oh, okay. That wasn't the point, okay, I was trying to get clarification. Can the finance committee adjust that line item upward for all elected boards?
Yes.
Okay, because it seems to me that we should maybe look at that. If one's requested and the others don't, we could lead to a little awkward, type of, dialogue.
I defer that one to the chairman.
I would do that to the chairman, rather, take a look at that as far as maybe for all elected boards, whether we want to adjust to make it equitable and fair to all boards, rather than, for one, and not the other, because one requested it and the other said, well, maybe, they're a little hesitant to do that, because the following year, you can see something else happening. So I would just want to bring that as a point of maybe for future discussion, that we look at that for all elected boards.
And that's a good point, and perhaps we could have, the entire committee look at that. We'd have to set aside, one meeting and have the entire committee look at that, or we could have a subcommittee, meet separate from the full committee and look at that issue, because there are discrepancies in the salaries of the different elected boards. So it's a good point, and it's something that we really need to address.
Last time they were adjusted was FY18, and it went up 2%.
These don't fall under the classification?
They don't. The town clerk's salary was rated in the classification, so you don't probably have to worry about that, because that's in the classification. And when she presents her budget, and she could, as being an elected officer of the town, she can request anything. You can recommend anything. She doesn't have to follow the wage and classification, but for an elected official, it makes sense to be under the wage and classification, so you have some material backup, that you're not just picking an ethereal number.
Sure.
So we're not going to vote on this tonight, obviously, so
I'm aware.
if we have any other questions on the budget.
Just real quick, CAMA,
Yes,
what is that?
comprehensive assessment management.
License fee?
Yeah, the CAMA it's an acronym.
Okay, yeah. Comprehensive assessment, is that
Compre-
a license that you hold?
I'm having a senior moment.
Well, that's okay. Is it a license required that you hold, or you?
Comprehensive assessment management.
It's okay.
I'm having a
It
senior
costs
moment.
money.
But they call it's called CAMA, and it's
Yeah.
basically, it's the appraisal or software system that you use to do real estate and personal property appraisal.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna Google that now, because I'm having a moment. This is
Okay.
terrible. Oh, man, I was just talking about glasses too, having a lot of senior
Join the
moments.
club. Any other questions, comments? Kelly, we'll get back to you once we have all the budgets and the committees have the time to discuss them and analyze them.
Okay,
Whatever changes, we'll get back to you before all the changes are being made.
very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, and
I'm actually
enjoy the
going
rest of your
I'm
evening.
going up there to Google it.
Okay, thank you. Have a good evening.
Next item we have on the agenda is the town clerk, registrar of voters, and town meeting budgets. Mrs. Bonte. Evening, Pam.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks. I have my usual packets that I put together.
No PowerPoint presentation?
No PowerPoint presentation. Not enough money in the budget for that.
Thank you, Mrs. Devontae.
You're welcome.
Everybody's moving away from PowerPoint presentation.
Going
I'm not
back
a
to the
big
good
fan.
old fashioned paper.
Except Brian, he will give us the.
Don't like them. Put in an interactive screen for you.
Right.
Thank you.
So Pam just did an update,
Supposed
so
to
you will
process.
have, this is gonna be different from what you have in there, but I brought the hole puncher so that you can add it to
Okay.
It's not in color.
reminders.
It's not in color on purpose. I used my yellow highlighter.
Kathy,
That's
could you
as
get
much
some
color
extras
as you'll
for the,
get. Oh, do you need more? Yeah. How many
You need
more?
3.
3? Wow, I can't believe a year has passed and we're back here again. Wow, so much has happened.
Moves,
The
that's one thing.
move, yes, which I invite everyone to come to the town clerk's office and visit us. It is so exciting. We are absolutely thrilled, and we appreciate the support that we had from it to all come to fruition. Thank you. It's definitely a nice change.
It's quite a change. I was up there just before you moved in, and
Oh, you have to come see it now that we are moved in.
She's got her
It's-
chintz curtains up.
No, not quite that much, no.
Oh, Bree.
Oh, I do have that. My essential oils.
She's having the throw pillows redone.
Okay, what I did is, I did throw Julie for a loop again this year, and I made a couple of changes. All of my changes, I'm happy to say, are all decreases, so there's nothing in my budget that will be more than what you had in the last one that I sent. If you have no problems with the normal format
Yeah,
that I
that's
use? Okay. We'll start with the town clerk's budget. I have my narrative on the next page after the actual Excel sheet. And I have it broken down by, it runs right along the same lines as the Excel spreadsheet. So the elected town clerk for the salary, I've level funded that. And I am not putting in for a 2% or 2.5% increase. I feel that the town clerk's salary is very fair after many years of injustice. So I am going to keep it there, and I don't have any intentions of raising it this year.
Last question, Pam.
Yes.
Was this role part of the wage and classification study? I don't know if this is Mr. Noble or. Do we know what that came back at?
Yes. It's right in the range.
Sort of the range?
It's not at the top of the range, it's not at the bottom of the range, it's in the range.
Okay, so we won't be seeing an increase for that as part of that study?
Not for that, because as an elected officer, she can ask for whatever she wants.
Okay.
And so what she's asking for is nothing. I think we can give her nothing. We can give a lot of
that
nothing.
fits.
With some debate.
We're gonna be looking at another budget for that.
Thank you.
The next line item is clerical. This line item is actually decreased $920 from last year. I had incorrectly budgeted one of my staff members, so I ended up a little bit higher in in that category, so I was able to reduce it in this category. And part of that is I happen to be blessed with 2 long-term employees of 10 years and over, which honestly, when I say is a blessing, it's a blessing in my office because I don't know how I would survive without them. So they're all at their level, step 5. Okay. The next one is stipends. That line item was originally put in for the town clerk certification that I have achieved as a certified municipal Massachusetts clerk. Oh, excuse me.
Excuse me, I apologize.
No worries.
I was waiting.
Go ahead, Brian, what is it? You're dying.
Computer-assisted mass appraisal.
Thank you, that's what I thought it was.
With comprehensive.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Helen.
I apologize.
No worries. Okay, so that line item has been zeroed out because that's now been incorporated, that certification's incorporated into the annual salary for the town clerk.
Will that eventually go away, that line item,
Yeah.
completely?
I keep them on there as long as there's history that's still showing, just so that you can see it, and then once it's done, it's out, yeah.
The next one is the salaries temporary, which this was an increase from my original from my FY 2019. The reason for the increase is previously, when I had a full-time staff member and I was the part-timer, if someone was on vacation or out sick, it was very easy for me to pick up extra hours, and there was no cost to the town for that. Now, with me being full-time, I have to have a part-timer fill in for those extra hours because I don't have another full-timer in the office. Okay, so that actually has gone up, and I did realize that I should have budgeted a little bit higher last year. So it's a work in progress. The next one is overtime salaries. I've level funded that at $300 from FY 2019. Having 2 part-timers in the office, the reasons for overtime are usually election related. And I don't foresee that we'll have a problem for next year. And this also covers for our rabies clinics as well, because I have 2 union employees that are usually the full-timers that end up registering to run the rabies clinic with me. Okay. The next one is longevity. You'll notice that there was an increase of $163, and that is contractual. I have an employee that has reached 14 years of service, so that makes an adjustment for her payout. The next one is R&M office equipment. That line item is being increased from $250 last year. This item is used to help me with items machines that break down. For instance, I have a time clock. Anytime I have to have it repaired, right off the bat, it's $250. Fortunately, it doesn't happen often, but I do need to be prepared for that. And that also pays for my service contracts that I have. Vital statistics, I'm level funding that at $600. That is used for the annual upkeep and binding all of our vital records and maintaining them as mandated by the state archival mandates. The next one is office supplies. I have reduced that line item by $200, and I've done that primarily because now that we are part of a municipal contract for our ink, our printers, and everything else, that has helped me to reduce that line item, so I don't have to actually order out for toner and ink. The next one is bylaws. That's level funded at $200, and that is utilized for creating bylaw books within the office that we're able to sell to the general public. The next one is software expenses. I decreased that line item down $150 down to $750, and this is for our contractual software agreements. I would have gone down a little bit more on that, but I will be getting another annual license that I will need to maintain, so that's been budgeted in for this line item. Dog licenses, I've increased that $50, and the reason for that is we've had an increase in dogs in town. And with the increase of dogs means I need more brass tags for. I just received my invoice, it was $733. So that should be good for next year. Travel and meals, that line item is level funded from FY 2019, and that's for my continuing education through my conferences, my seminars, and any other educational forums that we have. In FY, oh actually that says 2010, that was a goof. FY 2020, I do anticipate additional trainings because we are still working on the census for 2020. So they are having additional off-site meetings that I will need to attend to. And we also have a presidential state primary that will be coming up in 2020. The next one is dues and subscriptions. That one is up $25, and that's for my membership fees through the number of organizations as well as the advocate. Bonding is $100, that is state mandated. Knock on wood, I've been here, it'll be 11 years in April, and that number has stayed the same, so happy for that, no increases there. An additional equipment, I've level funded that line item at $500. Any questions on that?
Any questions, comments?
No? Okay.
Good.
Moving on to the Board of Registrars. Board of Registrars, the salaries. I'm not sure if everyone is aware, but my longtime registrar, who's wonderful, my right-hand person, retired just December, I believe. I believe it was the end of December, which
Then you pushed her down the stairs.
I did not. She fell up the stairs and I was nowhere near her. But I was very pleased to find out that she called me on Monday and asked me if she could come back and work a couple of days a week. So I will have her. However, I still will need to hire someone else to do our census, help me with the election, because I won't be able to just do it with her a couple of days a week, a few weeks out of the month. So that, and what the knowledge that she brings to the table is irreplaceable. So it definitely is going to take some work to get someone else trained for her position. But in the meantime, I'm very pleased that she's back with me, at least for a short term anyway. So I've level funded that, I'm sorry, I reduced that $1,000 from last year. Okay, let's see. And again, we did do the census, or we are still doing the census in-house this year. And I've used it as an opportunity, again, to reach out to other departments to see if they have any educational materials or any informational bulletins that they want to get out. So that way, we're maximizing that postage that's reaching every single household in town. And I've given you a list of some of the items that I've included in this year's census. Yours are all coming anyway. The next one down is voting programmers and movers. This line item is reduced $1,000 from FY 2019, and that's primarily because this past year I had 3 elections and I only have 1 election for next fiscal year. Street voting and census, I've level funded that at the $1,350. And although we do the annual census in-house, we still need to have a printer prepare the actual voting list and resident list that's mandated by the state. And I believe every year we give each of our board members and department heads, they all get 1 copy of that. But again, that is mandated. The next one is communication and advertising. I'm happy to say that I've zeroed that out for this year, but I cannot get rid of that line item permanently. That line item is used for early voting advertising. We have mandated that it has to be advertised. I was fortunate this year that I was able to get the local newspapers to cooperate with me and get the information out there. However, we cannot be guaranteed that they will do that for us. So I have to make sure that I've got that money there, otherwise I'll be coming to you guys for reserve fund transfer. Office supplies, I've level funded at $800, and that is primarily, again, to purchase supplies for the elections and our $45 inks for our handicap machine that are only usable once. So. The next one down is travel. That one is also level funded for FY 2019, and that is primarily for training that is election or census related.
Quick question,
Yeah.
don't we have 2020 presidential election? You're not estimating,
That actually falls into fiscal year 2021.
I'll be on next year's.
I got you, okay.
Right, I have the state primary in March and the annual town election and the town meeting. And then in September and November, I'll have the other elections, but that'll be the next
Okay,
fiscal
I
year.
got you, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
All the voting machines holding out.
Ah, good question. Not good, not good. We've had some major issues at the last election with 2 of the machines. One of them, the actual keypad that you use, it's not working any longer. We had the technician come down from ES&S to take a look at it. Unfortunately, he was unable to fix it before the election. I saw him last Thursday at my Devon's conference, and he did tell me he was able to track one down for me. So I'm able to put a Band-Aid on that one. The other machine, we're not sure what's wrong with it. He's coming out to look at that within the next.
What he's really
2 weeks.
asking is what's your capital request this year gonna be?
I really, if I could do it at town meeting, I'd really like to go for the 4 machines that I would need, and they're roughly $7,000 a piece. So we'd be looking at between $28,000 and $30,000 for new equipment.
What's the cost of repairing these as we go along?
The repair cost, because we're under contract, it's covered under the contract. However, the problem is the parts are extremely difficult to find. And with this, the instance
Units
of
are
the
old.
keypad,
It's over.
they are. And I've
think John-
cannibalized other machines in an effort to, actually, John, when you were town clerk, we were ones.
Yes.
So, and that was almost 11 years ago. So I've really done my darndest in trying to put it off for as long as possible. The machines that they have out, there are 2 right now that have been approved by the state. And it's given me a good opportunity to see what town clerks like and what they don't like about them. And the one that we'd be looking at, they're both priced comparably, but the one that we'd be looking at would be between $28,000 and $30,000. And again, that would be for 4. That includes there's special buckets that they have to sit on so that the ballots are diverted into the right compartments.
Are these the machines that you put the paper ballots, is that what you're
Yes, the
talking about?
tabulators.
The tab-
Yes, yeah.
Would there be any maintenance contracts on the new ones?
There would be, and I'm not exactly sure what that would be, but I do know everything. I have the estimate actually back at the office, I just don't have it on the top of my head. But I will tell you, with ES&S right now, I pay roughly $900 a year. I would say that with these, it's probably about $1,200 or $1,400 a year.
Can we get Brian Noble to chase the Secretary of State around for some money?
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because we did just get back $4,700 from the early voting. That was, I submitted all of our information for what our costs were, and it was deemed as an unmandated mandate passage. So we were able to recoup at least $4,700 from that.
There's no money for voting machines. Already checked.
Yeah.
Sure you did.
We're not an economically disadvantaged community.
Okay.
Depends who you ask. Any other questions or comments on this portion of the budget?
Oh, okay.
Moving right along.
The last one is the town meeting elections, and this one right here is, I've reduced this $2,500 down to $8,500. This one we utilize for the wages for all of the election employees and the town meeting tellers. So that covers all of our election day workers. That also helps to cover if I have any training for the election staff prior to the elections, and if there's any unforeseen things that come up. But I usually, I budgeted pretty close with this one, so there better not be anything unforeseen that comes up.
These employees, are they considered town employees? Are they under
They're considered temporary.
just just temporary
Yeah.
employees.
Yeah, so they're not.
And you hire them
Well, they're
as they
appointed.
needed?
They're appointed for one-year terms, and except for the town meeting. The town meeting tellers, they're appointed for 3-year terms. But they, yes, they're as I need them, and this is a great opportunity for me to put it out there to TV land that we are in need of election staff. I'm looking for people that have clerical experience because I need clerks, I need wardens, and then I need checkers. So that would be helpful. I do have a few people coming on board, but unfortunately, due to illnesses, due to people purchasing new homes in other communities, I've lost quite a few people.
Outside of the voting machines, do you anticipate any other capital items?
We do need a computer for Nancy and a new computer for Rachel in the office.
It's gonna be in the technology budget.
Oh,
Would be in the tech?
Yeah.
okay.
We're gonna replace all but Pam's computer.
So it wouldn't be an article? It'd be-
It's gonna be in the technology budget.
It's an operating expense, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments?
I was thinking of just getting her an IBM Selectric.
Well, now that I have my new office, I can't complain. I can't complain. I feel like I'm in the Taj Mahal.
Trade your desk in.
Gives you a little bit more room up there anyway.
I do.
She's
do.
complaining
It's-
about how much it takes to walk from her office to the front counter.
No, I actually joke and say I'm able to get exercise in this office because I'm up and down and I love it. I love it.
Great.
So, yes. So thank you.
It's got the
Thank you
desk.
very much.
And as I said, please come visit. Come see how the tax dollars have been spent. They were done very wisely, and I'm very proud of the people that organized it and did the work. They did amazing.
Did a great job.
You're there
Great.
late Tuesdays, right?
Yes, every Tuesday till 7. Yeah. Okay.
If you have any
we're all
questions
set?
during our deliberations, we'll get back to you, and if there are any changes already, recommended changes, we'll discuss them before.
Okay, so if you have any increases, you'll let me know.
That's gonna
I don't
happen.
think so. Okay,
Thank you very much. You have a good night now.
You too, good night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Next item we have is the pleasure of having Mr. Dan Minaya.
And he deserves everything he wants.
Evening, Dan.
Good evening. I got a couple papers for you guys. I
Do.
want to pass them around. Did you guys get the explanation? I think you guys did.
Yeah, I think they might have
Yeah.
those already, yeah.
Thank you.
Pass them around. One of each. That's actually the capital thing, so we're not gonna do articles, I guess, tonight, but I'll give you at least my, that's the upgraded list that where we're at. I have a couple extras, I don't know if you want to leave them for the other guys.
Yeah, Kathy will take those. Here for a second. Wait for Brian to come back.
Yeah, okay, yep. Yeah, if you guys did, one of the papers is explaining the, you know, the increases and the decreases and stuff, and the other one's the, you know, our capital item, that's all equipment list and where we're at. I just update it every year, I give you guys a copy every year, so that's just
Right.
the mileage and all the stuff, and it's still the same years of where we're at with the trucks and the equipment.
Do you have an extra one of those, by chance?
I'm sorry?
Do you have an extra one of those?
Yeah, there should be, I had it, that's what I said. I didn't give you one?
I don't know.
Might as well give me two, because I don't know if Brian got one. I think you got the other thing.
I got the, yeah, I got the explanation for it. Thank you. It's good to have.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I try to update him every year with the mileage and the hours and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff I hold on to, and hopefully we can, as long as I can get parts for it. I know that, you know, some of it's really outdated, but as long as I can still get parts, we'll try to keep running as long as you can, you know. I know that, you know, they don't have, like some of the Sanders, they got low miles on them, and, you know, the downfall is if you need parts for them and you can't get them, that's where you run to them, so we'll keep them going as long as we can.
88.
But for the most part, most of our equipment's up. Really looking, this year is gonna be that one water truck, which we kinda gave up last year, and we got another year out of it, so. Again, it is what it is, we'll keep plugging if we have to, but that was really the one, you know, vehicle that, out of the vehicle list that we're gonna be looking for this season if we can. And it's gonna be a water truck.
Awesome.
And actually, I'm gonna get my highway truck tomorrow, finally. It's been since last year.
From last year?
Yeah, the new Sander 10-wheeler, so maybe I should pick it up tomorrow, so that's.
Hopefully you don't have to use it.
Yeah, I know, it's been a good year, so we'll knock on wood on that one. But we do actually a lot of sanding and salt, believe it or not, you know.
Yeah.
Just the plow, and that's what kills us here, you know, the hides out and everything, but yeah. So far, so good.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
It's the one from
Knock on
last year.
wood on that one.
How much is a water truck?
The water truck actually is like 58,000. I got all the quotes and stuff for that.
Okay.
I didn't think we'd do an article, but I do have them all for you. I didn't bring them with me, but
I think they made one pass before they had to run over the line. Just for miles.
all right. You guys want to start with the
What are the
highway?
highways?
All right. You guys just want to go for the, you know, the increases, decreases?
Why
or-
don't you do each one, Dan, just so that we'll have an idea where we sit, okay?
Okay.
Start right at the top.
Okay, with the salaries, when it's start
Yeah,
right off,
start
okay.
right there, and we'll work right there.
And the director, that's me, it's just a 2%, and that's, you know, what we're told to put in. Everyone was getting a 2% for this season, so that's what we went with. The permanent salaries was actually decrease. That was because of the water guy. I think it was something, there was an issue with the water guy being in the highway when we first did this last year. So it's all kind of straightened out now, and you'll see the increase in the water department line item because we hired Ryan McCarthy last year. So that's why we have a decrease in that, and you'll see an increase in the water department because he is just water. Water department is not highway. So there was a little mix up in the salaries from last year, so this is straightening it out.
Just an
So that's why-
adjustment.
Correct, yep. The clerical, that's a deduction because Kathy now has her own line item now, and she is the business manager line item, which you'll see in the, so she is out of the highway department altogether. So you'll see she's got a, in her, a business manager, you'll see that next one down, you'll see her new line item, which is the request for this year.
It's 24,
Correct. Yep, so she was changed out of the, so now we only have one girl, which is Ann, is in the clerical, and Kath is the business manager
Okay.
now. The overtime, I did increase, that's where you see with that, it's a 5,000 increase. Again, it is what it is, we just seem to be busier and busier, and I need the time to keep the guys working, you know, out there. I do got a lot of drainage projects, which you're gonna see down and further as we go down the list this year, so, and it is a lot easier, if you're out there working, you're already set up to just to keep going, you know, if you get an hour a day, but it just adds up, 5,000 when you get 5, 6 guys out there working, it doesn't last too long, you know, so that's why that's an increase in that. And again, like I said, as we go down, you're gonna see the increases in the road materials and the police details and stuff like that, because of the projects I want to tackle this season, if possible. Again, Mr. Noble, we're thinking something different. I don't know if that's gonna happen this season, so we're gonna kind of go with the flow. I don't know if there's gonna be maybe an article for just that.
Yeah, what I was thinking in terms of strategy is create an article for money in excess of the chapter money for roads, so that we can go multiple years, because you do as an article, and put all expenses for supplies and police details and stuff like that, and then he can draw on it as he needs it, as opposed to having it in the general budget.
Well, the good point about it is too, is if I can't finish it all in 1 year, at least it can be rolled over to the following year. You know, sometimes I think I can do more than I can, and you know what I mean? So you're over inflating the budget, so.
You're not really, it's really a maintenance article, it's not really an operational article, so you could use some of the free cash money and fund that. Depends on how we come out on free cash, but I'd like to take this down and then move it over to the article anyway, so that it would be perpetual use. And then we're gonna have to do more than this, the chapter 90 money, so that, because we can't just live on chapter 90. So we're gonna need to supplement chapter 90. That's what we identified in our pavement management plan. So I would like to create that extra fund in an article rather than in the budget, so that it's, it can be refilled continually, and it can span multiple
It's
years.
like a revolving.
Correct. Well, I wouldn't call it revolving, because she's here, I get in trouble. So,
Yeah.
it's an
Carries
article.
forward.
Yeah.
Carries forward.
Yeah, it's a carry forward article.
All right, so you wanna move on there?
Move right on, Dan.
The clothing, that's contract. We're actually currently looking into changing, a different contract that we got, but it's a union, that's in their union agreement for uniforms and stuff like that, so, well, hopefully we can get it cheaper, but this currently contract we have now, that's the increase in that. Energy, again, it seems like, if you look at the years past, we've been going up and up and up, and we're just cutting it, so that's why we increased there, and that was by 1,000. So we have no increase building grounds, no increase in R&M equipment. The rentals, that was no increase. And engineering fees, that went up a lot. Again, that's, so you're gonna see the engineering, the police details, and the road materials. If you look, all three of them, they're kind of all in sync. You know, if we do these projects, details, a lot of it's, I did some figuring, like just for the materials, it's gonna be over 100 grand to do. I got Renee Street, Hathaway Road, Mendel, what else I wanted to tackle? Hamlin Street. So them are the ones I wanted to try to tackle this season coming up. Mendel's a big one. We gotta replace some of the stuff that's there, existing, which I do have some pipes, but it's gonna be a ton of structures I need. And then it's gonna be engineering fees and stuff to design the rest of that, to get the rest of that water coming, where the fire tower is now, and the water just comes along the side and it comes across the road. So again, it's been a big issue. This year, we're having a lot more drainage issues, people with sump pumps and stuff, just because this was like the third wettest season in history. So Renee Street needs some, pipes. You gotta give people a place to put the sub pumps, and, we're out there sanding the streets, and, you can't put it, you're throwing it in the yards, it's coming in the street anyway, so, we actually fixed Brookside, this last one, and that was another issue, and wound up fixing their problem, so now that's going into the drains. We ran a pipe down the sideline, had a place for them guys to put their sub pumps in roof drains. So I wanted to kind of do Renee and Hathaway. There's a section over there that has to be done. Like I said, again, Mendel is a big one, and it's going to go all the way up to the corner. Back in the day, when I was in business, actually, we did the other section that goes from that where the fire tower is towards Perry Hill. They fish that way, so we're kind of going to go back towards the power lines and heading towards Mattapoisett Road. We're going to be fixing all that stuff this year. So some of the stuff I already got approved through the conservation, which is the first half. That's up to Garrison Road, which I do got some materials, but I do not have them all. And then, the second half would be going up from Garrison up to like where the fire tower is, a little past the fire tower, up with the corner is over there on Mendel. You know, like I said, the other thing is Hamlin Street, and hopefully, they keep telling me they're supposed to be doing this bridge this season, so I want to kind of fix that from Middle Road coming down to that corner. There's a problem, there's a ditch there now, and it's not even, you know, even they got pipes that go into the driveway, all different elevations and everything, so I kind of want to fix that up this season as well, and give people as a sub pump at the top of the one that's dumping out there as well onto Hamlin, so we're looking to try to take care of that as well. And if that's getting done, and the bridge is getting done, so we can actually pave that, so any kind of drainage work I want to take care of on Hamlin Street as well this season.
Is
If
that
possible.
realistic with the state?
I'm sorry?
that
Well,
real?
they're telling me that, well, I mean, they've been telling me this for years too
I
as
know.
well, but it's getting closer, and they're definitely pinpointing. I think we're gonna do some more public outreach this summer. They're saying they're supposed to be going out to bid actually this summer, and they wanted to try as the fall of this year to start the project. Gonna be shutting down the bridge, I think, for like 6 months, they told me, so if they start in the fall, it's gonna go through the winter into the next spring to finish their section, and then hopefully for the next season, we can get that paved and pave that whole road.
Increase
So-
the weight limit on it?
Oh, yeah, so then it's gonna be, everything's gonna go over, there's gonna be a sidewalk alongside, they're actually gonna be hanging our water line. A water line currently goes under the river right now, so they're gonna be putting it on side of the bridge, it's gonna be like a sidewalk, so you'll be able to walk along the side, it's gonna be widened, straightened, ain't gonna be hairpin corner no more. Yeah, I already got all the plans and everything for that, so that should be, hopefully that happens, like I said.
Great improvement.
Yeah, yep. So, you got any questions on that, or that?
No.
Like I said, that, the rest of all of them other ones are just level funded, which is the rentals, the training and testing. Gasoline's the only other one that went up on that. Again, we're really cutting it close this year, so that's why I went to the increase. You know, the prices are up and down, they're actually going back down, so I'll probably just make it this year, but we're real close, so.
And the hybrid cruisers,
Huh?
saving on gas. Hybrid cruisers.
There
Yeah.
would only be 2 of them.
Yeah. So we're really pushing it this year, so that's why I kind of did that increase. And again, it's 10,000 on, we were 90,000 last year, and I went to 100. And then the dues and everything, that's all level funded. And that's basically the highway.
I have one question,
Yep.
this would be on the salary, and Mr. Noble, since you mentioned that he filled in some of the items on the,
On the salaries, correct?
yes. Did you follow the wage and classification study and compare
On
this
this,
position?
on these wages, it would be the union wages.
No, about the non-union.
Non-union, yes.
Okay.
They still may be adjusted yet. The Board of Selectmen hasn't finalized that.
Oh, they haven't finalized it, so,
Right. But
okay.
they won't be far off from this.
Oh, okay.
Probably be less.
Oh, no.
Just saying.
We don't need confrontations.
All right.
Any other questions for Dan?
I have one question.
Yeah.
The police detail,
Yes.
does that actually need to be a police detail, or can it be, I don't know, manned by somebody else? I know that there was,
Well, sometimes unfortunately we have to, because it's actually getting harder and harder to get details, it seems like, even if our group can't do it, they'll go out to the sheriffs, they'll go out to other towns, Rochester, Mattapoisett, whatever, surrounding towns, Fairhaven. That's being difficult now. I mean, I've used our guys, there are flaggers out there. Tell you the truth though, people don't listen, they don't even listen to the police sometimes, so I'm more comfortable with police, my opinion, and it's just because, like I said, they don't even listen to people on traffic, don't listen to those guys, and at least if you get a police officer on duty, they can kind of, you know, they'll keep the people slower and everything else, where if you got a highway guy or a flagger trying to slow it down, it just doesn't seem to work, you know. Just experience being out on their road, you know, for safety purposes, I think we should stick with the police details. My opinion. I mean, you can't get away maybe with a flagger, but, you know, we don't, you know, this state, you know, New Hampshire and stuff like that uses flaggers but, you know, New Hampshire's a different ballgame. It ain't Massachusetts. Everybody's in 90 miles an hour in a rush, where New Hampshire's a little more laid back and you can get away with a flagger. Over here, I don't think so.
I would think the police would have something to say about that too.
Well, yeah, maybe, but again, I just feel safer out there, and again, sometimes you can see they don't even listen to the police officers. It's, you know, it's difficult.
Prices are pretty
sometimes.
comparable too with the flaggers.
Yes, it's not much difference, yeah, it really isn't, you know? The only way we could save is if I got my guys, but then I got my guy out there flagging instead of, you know, working.
Yeah, that's not a
Yeah,
job.
it's not, yeah. It really
Isn't it
isn't.
state law?
I think it changed.
Flaggers are not, no, they didn't pass. Isn't it state law that you can't use them?
They did, you can't use them, the prevailing wage. So if the cost for a flagger is comparable.
Correct, and it's not effective with it.
Yeah, it's not even,
Okay,
yeah,
so
probably
it's-
it's not even, yeah, any difference, tell you the truth, if you're gonna, yeah, because they gotta pay prevailing wage, so I doubt it, yeah, they probably, might even be more, you know, if you look at it that way.
So you're better off. hiring
Yeah,
a
correct.
police officer.
Yep. The only downfall, like I said, it's difficult to get
Trying to get 'em.
nowadays, yeah. So, yeah. Any other questions on highway?
Sir?
No, 200,000.
All right. Snow, that's the next one, is that we guys get up next. I don't know if you're in the same order as me.
Snow.
Snow, we're just level funded.
It's not gonna snow.
I hope not.
What
This
you
year
saw
so
yesterday
far,
wasn't
so
snow.
good.
We're all set?
Yeah.
Dan's already spent that.
Well, I knocked on wood, no snow, I'm good with that. So, like I said, again, we level fund that, it's, hopefully this year we'll come under budget, would be nice. If it stays like this, we will, so that'll be awesome. CMAS, you guys on to CMAS now?
CMAS.
This one, we got some problems. This one, that permanent position one, that is just a salary increase. And again, that's just, that guy's, he's got 2 days as Peter Fortnett works there.
That's a contract anyway.
Correct, yep, that's his contract, yep. R&M Buildings, 0. The curbside pickup, which is, that is our recycling. That's the one that is the big one. Last year, we're way under budget this year. This is when everything broke loose over there. It used to be $30 a ton. It is now well, they grade you with 3 different levels, A, B, and C level. Right now, we're currently in the B, which is $110 a ton. If you get into the worst one, it's $150. We had a couple that we were $150 a ton, and again, that's people putting plastic bags and stuff in the recycling that shouldn't be in there. And they were really pushing it at the beginning to kind of, kick it back a little bit, so we're at a little better level now. So, but again, it's $110 a ton. And it went from, we were at 30, like a year and a half ago, we were at $30 a ton, so hopefully it stays like that, but again, that was just, it is what it is, that's what we're currently forced to pay.
It seems to be a universal problem.
With every town, it's not just us, it's everybody that has that problem. And again, a lot of it was to do with, I think, China not taking the materials, and now it's going to like Indonesia and Vietnam and stuff like that. But again, it's issues with them taking it, it's contaminated, the stuff's contaminated, it's not as clean, I guess. That's what they're saying anyways, but that's where we're at. And I talked with CMAS to see if they can take some of the stuff, because I was thinking they can burn it for energy, you know what I mean? But DEP will not allow us to give that, they'll reject our loads if you get too many recyclables in with the trash, so they won't even take it. and that's, CMAS has to deal with DEP regulations, so. And I did talk to DEP and say, hey, we were at $30, we're getting paid all this money, and, they said, no, we can't, they wouldn't give us a waiver to take the recyclables away at CMAS, so.
They've always been pretty helpful.
Yeah, and the one, actually, the company we used to deal with, We Care out of Taunton, that used to take recyclables, and that's the company, they went actually out of business, the one that was originally taken, so now we're dealing with Casella and Rochester, and so we're at their mercy. It's not too many people that even take the stuff now, so.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I'm looking at the line item there from FY16. The curbside pickup was like 30,000, and now
Yep.
it's gone up to 187,000. That's unbelievable.
yeah. Yeah.
It's,
In that 1 year, like, even when we budgeted last year, I couldn't even come up with, I thought 75 was good. We roughly go 1,000 ton a year, so I was figuring, $75 a ton. It went up to, like I said, we were at 30, and 75 wasn't enough, it ain't enough. So, like I said, we're at 110 now. And like I said, it's been stabilizing at 110 now, but, we've had some loads that have been 150 when they came in here because we were contaminated loads, and they were charging us 150 a ton. And then, like I said, right now, we've been, doing some outreach and stuff like that, sending out pamphlets, and it's been helping out, and we kind of stabilizing at the 110.
You ever been at an A?
No.
No?
No,
Just no.
I don't think probably ever see that. It's hard, that's hard, even no matter how much outreach you do, unless you police it. I think the city of New Bedford actually has got some people
Yeah.
out there, and they're policing and finding people, and they'll put a tag right on their thing, not for the guy to pick up. And again, so now you gotta pay for somebody
Yeah.
to be out there doing
Yeah.
so.
Is it every week they evaluate the load and charge you, adjust the charge for the next pickup?
No, they got them, every load that's shipped into that place, they got cameras, they take a picture of the loads and everything, and the trucks, numbers, everything that comes in there. Well, we only do it, it's 5 days, so it would be 5 days every other week.
Right.
So every other week, them guys are going in there, and they're bringing their loads in, so any loads that, they take pictures of every single load that's dropped at their facility. So anything that's contaminated, they'll charge you for that load. So if that load had 6 ton on it, they're gonna charge you for that 6 ton. The next day, you know what I mean? If
Yeah.
it's good, so that's how they do it over there. So every load is charged on the load that the truck is picking up. So they roughly are doing them every single day, so they're bringing in 5 loads for that recycling week. 'Cause, and then they're off for that fall one, and then it'll be the next week, so.
How do they sort through all that?
What's that?
How do they sort through everything, like, to determine this?
Yeah. Well, like I said, they're dumping the trucks out, and they're taking pictures of the loads right when they're dumping the trucks, the trash trucks. When the stuff comes out, they're taking pictures, they got cameras on everything over there. Some of the trash trucks, actually, I don't know if Holland's got them now, but I know a lot of them, they got cameras right on their trucks now, the stuff, dumping them into the truck so they can see them coming out of the barrels, I think ABC's got it. We don't have ABC, but I think ABC's got that now. That's a new thing, they
So-
camera and stuff going into the truck.
So based on what they see on the camera, they're just coming up with like an estimate of what?
Yeah,
So
basically,
it's
yeah,
not
it's kind
exact.
of, no, correct. You're not sorting through the entire load, correct. They'll just pick and things, it's contaminated. So
You saw
it's
2
not
pizza
perfect, so
boxes.
if it's got any type of contamination.
Pizza boxes and police, that's it?
You're getting 150
Just
a
take
ton.
samples.
Yeah, yeah.
Prorated, and they pretty accurate.
But again, that was kind of happening,
Period of
they were
time.
really on it, but now it's kind of seemed to slack off a little bit, and they kind of staying, it seems to staying steady
Leveled
now,
off.
so, yeah, leveling, so,
Again, everybody's in the same,
correct.
trash is gonna be an issue that we need to address.
nationwide.
Yeah. I figured Trump wanted his wall, we should just melt all this plastic down and make a plastic wall, big wide one.
That's an idea.
They go back to glass. I was reading,
There you go.
Brian,
All right,
you
so-
can't use the grinder, Brian?
Can't grind it up?
You sort of get, it's sort of a double-edged sword. You get in trouble if you put recycle in the regular trash, and you get in trouble if you put trash in the regular recycle. So there's no escaping. One of the plans is, so why don't we just put everything in the trash? Can't do that. because it just is, so either way you go, they got you.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
yeah, you can't-
if it
you
gets
can't throw it-
bad, that leads you to, I'm sure there's illegal dumping, and you
Right.
guys have to pick it all up.
Yeah. And again, it's not,
Are we at like a C rating right now, or is it B?
we're B, we're in the middle.
We're B?
We're in the middle right now, yeah.
All right, so if we were at A, which is probably unrealistic, how
Yeah.
much money would that save us
It
approximately?
actually wasn't that much. It went from, like, I think it might be, I thought it was 100 or something versus 108, something like that. I think we're 108.50 is the B level, is what we're at now.
And A is 100.
Yeah,
so-
yeah, it wasn't that much difference. It was a big difference though from the last one. It shoots right up to 150 for the, the C level, Yeah, it wasn't like you're getting it for 50 a ton or nothing like that, no. Yeah, it wasn't, yeah. All right. The incinerator, which is CMAS, that's where we take the trash, and that's just contract. We have a 5-year contract with them guys. The heavy item pickup, that was, we didn't have it. The selectmen actually wanted us to put that in this year. So that was that 20,000 for that. That's where you see that number. And they wanted to do, I don't know if it's gonna be picked up at the curb. That's still gonna be discussed, or we did it at the town barn one year, and the trucks were sitting there and people bring it to us.
It's quite a jump, huh?
What's that?
But
The
of course-
20, well, it's 20,000, because
Yeah.
we didn't do it last year, we didn't have one.
Well,
And,
looking back over the last couple of years,
Yeah. Oh, the heavy pickup?
yeah.
Yeah, because we didn't do them at all, heavy pickups. We weren't really, that 46 was probably the one we did at the yard. Why they put in 20,000 was, we did one year, it might have been, it had to be 15, and we did that. We had the garbage trucks go pick them up at the houses, and they couldn't even do it in one day, and they had 5 trucks out there, hauling, so that was being hauling with trucks to pick the stuff up, and it was around that number, so that's where we're at, 20,000. I think it came out to 18,000 to do that, and again, they couldn't do it in one day, they do it in another day, because like people, they had like 10-wheeler loads of stuff out in the front yard to pick up, so. And then the other years, we didn't do no heavy item pickups. That's when we start the program at the town barn now that we have, and people have been bringing their stuff, and, but you're paying for a mattress, $15, so we've been doing that for the last few years, and at least people have a place to put the stuff, so. And we currently have a dumpster there now, and they pay at the town hall and go down there and pay for, if they have a bed or a mattress or whatever, to get rid of it, and that's what we've been doing. So I think they wanted to offer this year, I don't know. Again, that's through the select board.
But that'll go out the contract, right?
Correct, that's like Holland, well, Holland, like I said, because you can stuff weight, it ain't worth throwing in dumpsters. They put it right in the trash trucks, and them things just get compact and stuff, even at the yard. It's amazing how much them things can crush in there, them garbage trucks, so, yeah, so it's either hire them again, if we do it at the yard, it's definitely gonna be a little cheaper, because now people are gonna bring it to you. The only downfall of that, some of the older folks and stuff like that, it's hard for them to get the things there, so it's easier for them to pick up at curbside, so, again, that didn't get discussed, and that figure is based on going out and picking it up at the curb. Again, the rubbish removal, that's a contract with Howland, and that's, I think we got one more year with them, but that's just that's their increase for this season.
Now, is that evaluated as well for contamination with recyclables in it?
That number is just for them to pick it up and drop it off for us, so that's their daily pickup for trash and recycling.
Okay.
That's their contract for the year with Howland.
They bring it to CMAS.
So but this is paying them, that's actually their trucking costs and
Right.
their dump trucks, so that's for them, for the garbage trucks to pick it up and haul it to CMAS and haul it to Casella. And we probably got one more year with them as well. We had 5 year with both Howland and CMAS, so. And Again, communications, training, testing is all level funded. And the equipment rental, that went up. That equipment rental is actually for grinding. We rent a tub grinder every year. Reason why it went up this year, well, again, we might not need all that funds, but last year we went over because we had a bunch of storms and we had a lot of people bringing in trees and brush, and that's just grinding the brush pile. Usually we can do it in one day, which is less than $5,000. This time it took us 2 days to grind it all up and get rid of that material that we had. And again, we even actually burned for 1 day. We had a lot of stuff from, you know, it's a year and a half ago, I guess now, but we had a lot from them storms, and I do them in the fall, you know what I mean? I mean in the summer, fall, I have them grind once a year. And so that's the increase in that.
Questions?
Again, that one I might not need it, again, we might be able this year, it's not looking, I mean, we don't have the brush, so I might be able to do it in a day. I mean, again, that just goes back into the fund, I'm not, if we don't use it, we don't use it, but
Is that a chipper?
it's a tub grinder. It's a tub grinder, and actually, we help him with our excavator and our front end loader, and it's got a machine with a grapple on it, and it's just a tub grinder that spins, and it just grinds it all up into mulch, so, yeah, usually we do it in 1 day. Amazing the material they grind up in 1 day, but it's a big piece of equipment. It's probably over $500,000, the piece of equipment that comes in here and does it for us, you know.
It's quite an operation.
Yeah, so. But it's a way to get rid of it, and it's you know, it's a service to the taxpayers. They got a place to put all that brush and trees and stumps and plus us, what we do on the road and pick up on the road as well, that all goes in that pile, you know? And any job we do, and rotted trees, anything, stumps, it goes in there, and again, we grind it up once a year. Guys, got any questions on CMAS?
You're gonna do the water and the...
Yep, so, yep, you're going right on, you're on water now, or?
Yep, sewer, water, whatever.
Against an outreach, that's me, 2%. The permanent labor, that increase is, remember I told you you're gonna have an increase because that, Ryan McCarthy is the new water guy, which wasn't figured into the funds for last year, so he's our new hire, and that's where that increase is. No increase in superintendent, the business manager, you got her in there now. The clerical is deducted because Kathy has got her own line item now. The overtime, the reason why it went up a little on the overtime was because now I got another guy in water, and you got more guys, you got a little more increase in overtime, so that's why I put that, which was $500 difference in overtime for the new guy. The deduction on longevity, because the last clerk that was in there, she left, and she had her time for longevity. The new one that just started, it's got 5 years before she gets longevity, so that's why there's a 36% decrease in that. Fringe benefits, that's over here. I don't got nothing to do with that. Which looks 0%, that's not level funded. Clothing, again, was looking into that, that's all the same from the highway. Energy, this one is level funded. Water, New Bedford water bills is up 3% from last season. And if you guys look at the whole budget, like if you look at 16, even from our final from water, it's basically most of it's New Bedford increase. We're, you know, again, we're at their mercy. And if you look, we're up probably 500,000 over the last 4 or 5 years, and 420 of it is New Bedford water bills, you know, increase. And the other would probably be my new guy, so that's where we're at for that. But everything else is level funded, building grounds, the vehicles, maintenance, rentals and leases is up. That is due to our water read system. We currently are renting a server for our radio read system. This is again, we have to do that for now until we get on the cloud, I take it, so it was supposed to be in January, we ain't hit there yet, so we're kinda, we don't know when we're gonna get onto that cloud, so right now we currently have to rent their server, because the one we had here in this building was, I don't know how old, Brian, it was pretty old, that server we had for, it was
Speaking
ancient, so,
Americas.
It was like 1999.
yeah, so.
I didn't think that possible that you could have a server that was 20 years old.
So currently, we're renting these until we can get on the cloud, so that's where that increase is. And hopefully, again, if it changes, we're not gonna need that. Engineering fees, all that, telephones, all level funded. CCRs, all level funded, communication, training, testing. Gasoline, I went up on them a little bit because, you know, I'm going up on the gas there. Office supplies went up a little bit. The water bills level funded, postage level funded. We had that service agreement went up. And it really didn't, it went up, but what we happened with that, we changed it. I had it at 70/30, and Kathy's telling me that all the bills they've done is 80/20 water, 80% water, 20% sewer is how the bills are done. And when I done it I was doing the budgets last year, I had it 70/30. So that's where you're gonna see the difference in that, and you'll see it in sewer, the difference for them numbers there. Again, equipment supplies level funded, dues, all that level funded. That's basically water. Any questions on water?
New meters,
New meters. Missed that one, huh? That one, I think we did go an increase on new meters, didn't I? Where is that? Hold on.
is that part of the replacement program that?
Yeah, yeah, but the increase is because we changed the system last year. I don't know if you remember last year, we went for an article and we wound up getting new antennas, and we got a new radio read. The MTUs that read them are actually a little more money, and that's why we did increase that, the meters. It's more the MTUs went up, but they're able to read hourly now instead of, currently they read daily, and now the new units that we're putting on the houses are read hourly. So we kind of would know you have a leak before you know you have a leak. It's really, really good technology. Even today, it's been working out really well. A lot of people that take off, and we'll call them up, or if not home, we'll go shut the water off so they don't get a $1 million bill.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, the thing alerts us. So now this new system actually reads hourly, which is really, really nice, And it actually helps with people with water, with questions on bills. We can tell you what day you use, how many gallons you use that day. It's amazing, even the one we got, it's daily. So it tells you, and it gives you the trend, so, from year to year, so we know what you used last year, and we can show you the records from last year, this year. So it's really, really good system, state of the art, so.
How do you get alerted? Do you have?
The computer will tell us. So most houses are set. We can actually, if you called me up and told me, hey, you're going away, I can set that thing for 2 gallons. So if it if we got a new, because the new meters are actually single cubic foot, so you'd have to have a newer meter. So a single cubic foot is 7.5 gallons. But we can alert that. We can punch it in and set it up. I think standard, she's got them like 200 cubic feet a day. Something, if it goes over that, it's going to alert us automatically. But if a homeowner or somebody wants us to alert it less, if it goes over, we can set it at anything. So if it's, like I said, 7.5 gallons, that thing's going to go off and tell us that.
What is that transmit to?
It's to the computer in our office. So these things.
Every house that signal reaches?
We got 5 antennas over town. We got ones at the fire station, we got one down in Blueberry, we got one on the library. We got 5 antennas, one up on Mendel Road. And them all antennas will read all our units that are on the houses. So it gives us, like I said, currently the ones are reading daily right now, but the new ones we've been putting out are hourly. So we just recently, last year, put in all new antennas, and so it's all upgraded, all our software. So it's on our computers at our office. So it's, Kathy comes in the morning, her computer come up, boop, it'll alert you, it'll tell you, it'll tell you how many houses are, you know, high water usage or anything like that, so it's really good. She can go into any household, anything, and tell her, hey, how many gallons that one used, how many, you know, again, it gives you a whole history of every single water user we have, which is
So when
really
there's
good.
water restrictions, you'll know that we're sprinkling the yards.
Yeah. No, well, again, you can tell, like it's summer, you can tell, it gives you, I can tell you what day you watered your lawn on, you know what I mean? It gives you every single daily use, and with this new one, it's every hour, so it's even better. Like I said, it's more accurate, so if you did go away, it's gonna say it's gonna set at, it's gonna be a lower setting, so it's not gonna be 200 cubic feet, it'll be, you know, 10 cubic feet. So now, if that thing's going off, you're gonna say, hey, something happened here, what happened? You know, it's gonna, you know, alert us, so we can, you know, alert the, you know, the homeowner. So, really good system. Head of the curve with that's for sure.
Yeah. Any questions on the water?
No, we're good on the water? We're on to the sewer. Again, superintendent, that's 2%. That permanent labor, still part of that, Ryan, that's, because he's both water and sewer, his salary comes out of. Superintendent, 0, level funded. Business manager, you can see Kathy's in that one now. Clerical is a decrease because Kathy was taken out. Overtime, again, it was up 500, and that's just because I got that extra guy in water. And the longevity, again, is because the old clerk is left.
Questions on sewer?
What we're still in our clothing allowance was, again, it's the same. The only other, everything else, energy, and grounds, maintenance equipment's all level funded. The maintenance of system went up, and that went up $5,000, and that's, we took over the school pump station now, and that's why the increase in that. So we added that, when the school put the new pumps and everything on, we took that over now. So we are actually checking that every day, and that's, that additional 5,000 is just the maintenance of that all through the year on that new station. Rental and leases, level funded. Sewer pumping, again, that's through New Bedford, and that's just due to the increases we have in the sewer. A lot of that's got to do with sub pumps. We found a few already out there, and again, this year was the 3rd wettest season in history, so this has been a little issue for us for sewer and people putting their sub pumps into the sewer. You know, and you can tell again the trend when you get the rain, heavy rainfalls, and you know, that's when our bill's going up through New Bedford. You know, we found a few, and hopefully that brings it down, but I'm sure it's more than out there. And again, we try to check when we put in new meters and stuff like that, but it is what it is on that. So hopefully we can continue, and you know, and again, the way I'm feeling is putting these things for people to put their sub pumps into instead of into that. They have a place to put it. A lot of them, these are in this area where you can't throw it. I mean, the yards are smaller. You can't throw it in the yard. The sub pump is just going to go in the street anyway. So, you know, so that's the other issue I kind of want to address in the years coming up, is trying to get some place for people to put their sub pumps in, and maybe that will help this issue we're having with the sub pumps. Again, everything else is level funded, engineering, legal. I think that was it. It's on sewer. That's all we got, I think, right? No, maybe that's on the next page. Yep, telephone, all that stuff is training, testing, gasoline, office supplies, sewer bills, postage, is all level funded. And that service agreement is down because that was a decrease between, because now when we bought this radio read system, that was KP Electronics that had it, and Mueller took it over. And then we got a decrease in in their service agreement from them guys, so, when they took it over. I think that's about it, right, for sewer?
Dan, there was some discussion about, you know, when the new pumps were put in at the school,
Yep.
about having the availability of some of the people that, you know, were on that line, would be able to tie into that line that goes to the pump
Correct,
station
we're
on
actually-
Peckham Road.
Yep, correct, we're actually working on it. We had, that was the answer we got from the engineer at first, that when we put this in and it was designed, it really couldn't take, they were telling us it could take like another 100 houses or something like that. And then they said, well, you'd have to upgrade the electrical. So then they were saying, oh, well, you can get, 47 houses on it. And so now they're saying, what they were telling me, we wouldn't be able to put pumps into that line, that we'd have to gravity back into the school and then have it pumped up out of there. So it still can take some, we're kind of working currently with them. I think we have a meeting upcoming, Brian, with them.
Yeah.
With current, so I'll have some more info.
Coming Tuesday night.
Tuesday night, so we'll have some more info on that. I'm working on it, I'm hopefully to get something into there, so regardless if we have to gravity back to the school, or, again, I want to try to work with pumps and see if they got, if E1 or something they can, be put into that line. Originally, that I think was designed for being added into, because it should only need a 4-inch if we were just gonna have for the school, and it's currently a 6-inch force main that's in that ground there now. So the only other thing it might have to be, what they were saying, would be another additional pump station midway or something that might have to be done. So again, it's in the works, we're kind of working on that. We actually got we got a bunch of sewer projects we're kind of looking on, and hopefully within the next couple of years, we get that and water projects I'd like to get tackled, so. Again, we need more manpower, it's more funding, and we'll kind of go with, as we go with that, but we got a lot of old stuff, a lot of the water mains, a lot of this end of town is, 100-year-old pipes, we had a break the other day, and, when you get at least it was like when the frost and it thaws, you want to, it's a lot of cast iron over there, and it just cracks, and the problem is you can't shut the mains off. We still have to work, it's still water flowing, we're working with the pipes and getting them, connected, and we can't shut the gates, they're so old, and you get, tuberculation in them, and you just, we exercise them and everything, but again, when you're 100 years old, it's only so long you get out of them, So that's the problem we have out there. But we're working, we're just doing what we got, and we got a good group there, and
So there's some possibility for some relief, like the people on Bow and Arrow and, Peckham Road and part of Middle Road.
correct. Them pumps actually are capable to take some more stuff, so how we're gonna go about it is what the question is right now, so yes, and that I'm hoping to, correct. And we need more sewer users, and again, which is another DEP state regulation, which is, nitrogen in the water and the river and everything, so that's all coming up this year, the MS4 permit, and a lot of that, they want you the sewer areas, so eventually we're gonna get forced in sewer areas, so hopefully if we kind of show incentive that we're gonna, stop picking away at it, that, they'll kind of leave us alone, so that's why we did that CWMP, and that's actually that should be done in the fall, so that, right, Brian? I think she said this fall, the CWMP would be done. And that was, giving us the total needs areas, which is giving all flow calculations of the whole town, what areas should be done first, what should be. So we got a pretty good plan coming up, and
It's extraordinarily, ultimately, eventually it's the whole town,
yes.
someday.
Yeah.
This would solve a lot of our problems with the Lake Street lakes because of the nitrogen content. The question is whether the New Bedford sewer plant can take it all.
Oh, that's another issue, yeah. I forgot about that one.
We have to work on that.
Yeah.
But-
So again, I got a meeting with New Bedford too coming up. So again, it's kind of all in the works. I know I seem to tell you that every year, but it's a struggle, but we're
As long as there's progress being made, you're moving in the right direction.
hoping.
That's good news for a lot of folks that,
Yeah. And again, that's a wet area, and, the more people on sewer, the better we are as a town, and it's better for the homeowners as well. They can put additions on and stuff like that. You don't need to open up your big yard, and a lot of it's where it's wet. We're gonna be raised systems and stuff like that, which are gonna cost them more money in the long run, so. Yeah, perfect.
Any other questions for Dan while we got him captured here?
May I suggest that in the absence of the tree warden, that we take
Oh, yeah,
advantage of
I don't have
having
it.
him present it? I do.
Oh, okay.
Happy to give it to you.
Oh, actually, I do got it. I could.
Okay.
Yeah.
Since Ray's still,
Yeah, he's currently, but actually I was out with him, he's actually up and about, he's with a cane, but I got him out of his house and I kind of went over some trees with him, and that's why I said I'd take his, come over his budget for him, you know? Since, he's out like a little over a month, and I've been, doing some of the work for him, helping him out, and, so you guys got it with you, or the budget? or
yeah,
no?
that would be number 18. It's under forestry.
Forestry, all right.
All right. So the salaries, I kind of gave Ray a raise just because I've been doing it for a month. And if I have to take it over, I ain't doing it for $600. So I figured I'll let you know that. So that's why I put that in for Ray. It's a lot. It's a lot of calls. It's a lot of going around and talking with people, and Ray does a lot. You guys, I know he likes the job, but so that's why I did that. He don't even know about that. I just threw that on there.
We don't even know
Doesn't-
about it.
Yeah.
We don't even know about it, 'cause
The only thing
they-
you want to be aware
Not
of
here.
is Ray continues to, he's
it's not
elected.
showing.
So it's not showing because it's an elected officer. We won't change that without going through town meeting.
I get you.
So that's on your list of, elected versus employed, if you will. I guess they're employed, but the distance between elected and appointed.
Okay, so that was me. The other ones actually are just level funded except for the tree removal. I went up to 10, it was at 7,500. And again, that's just because I had tree guys out. We actually have a lift, so I'm gonna try to do a lot of stuff in-house, but if it's around wires and tough situations, I'm still gonna wanna keep a tree guy out there. There's a ton of trees to do out there, just of what, this month and a half or whatever I've been doing it. And lining up tree guys and stuff, it's difficult, so, again, some of it's gonna be, hopefully I can do in-house with the new lift we got, but, so that's where I increased that, but again, that's for taking care of, because we have a lot of trees that are gonna get taken down, and I got quotes off of guys, and, you really can't, for 7,000, you're gonna get too many trees down for what we have to do, so I'm giving a little more realistic budget for Ray. And again, Ray is definitely coming back, is what he said, so, but I think I'm gonna be working with him for now, so you don't have to work as hard, and, he can, deal with the people and go talk to him, and then I'll work with him after as far as, hey, I'll go with him, look at it. If we can do it in-house, we'll take it down in-house. If we can't, then we'll, get the tree guy or whatever we gotta do to take care of it. And again, I try to work with the tree guys as far as taking the materials, branches, and we bring them to the yard and, help them with trucks or machines or whatever we have to help them. But they got the lift and, they can, they're more experienced with cutting, so we'll let them, cut around the wires and stuff like that, so. Any questions on that one?
Questions on,
Does Eversource do any of that?
They do their own thing around their wires, but this is like really taking care of the town trees that are all, dead and rotted out, and really, if you guys look around, you can see it, you'll see a lot of them, We just actually took the one on South Main, and that was real bad the other day. Again, we worked with the tree guy, and he actually cut it and bring the stuff and material to the yard, so. And, again, Ray said he would come in, if you guys wanted any questions with him as well, but I can relay it to him,
very good.
All right.
Thanks a lot, Dan.
All right, guys, have a good night.
Appreciate the presentation.
All right. I guess we're gonna see him for articles, we get, That's another-
We'll be back for articles.
okay. All right, guys, have a good night.
All right, you as well, thank you.
You better find a lot of revenue.
We're just gonna raise yours.
Reassess.
That's right. We've been looking at that, improvements you've made.
Right. Prune those trees, that's increasing the value.
All
Back to the front.
What we have is the request from the selectmen for a reserve fund transfer.
Thank you. This we presented last week. Facts haven't changed. This is an extraordinary expense in repair costs to the lifts in both parting ways and in Town Hall. The addition of a hardwired smoke detector in each elevator is required by the new rules. And I've shot the budget, and I won't make it through the end of the year. I'm hoping I'll make it with this, but let's see what happens. It's been a tough year for these little surprises. In the grand scheme of things, not a lot of money, but it's a surprise.
Make a motion?
Motion made and seconded, we transfer the sum of $4,020 from the reserve fund account to the selectmen's account for repairs and maintenance of buildings. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So voted. Next item we have this evening is old business. Old business, a couple of days ago, Finance Director and Mr. Howcroft and I went to the Old Colony initial budget hearing, which was pretty informative. I think, Julie, would you like to give us a little rundown on that? or-
Let's see. I mean, it's definitely better news for us because we have less students. So our assessment is actually a little lower than it was last year. So that'll be a good thing. But they kind of just at the meeting went through the detail of what they were looking at for their proposed budget. We're having another meeting, I want to say,
March 5th.
okay. So everyone kind of got the information and we'll look at it and if you have any questions about anything. I have them here, I didn't make copies, I completely forgot. But I can make copies for everyone if you want me to. And
I have a copy, and John.
Yes, I have a
Yeah.
copy,
as
yeah.
well.
yeah, I can get copies. I'll make a note for that for the
Yeah,
next meeting.
when we go over the budget, maybe, they'll have a copy of
Yeah.
that, and we'll probably guide through, because at that meeting, a lot of questions that I've had over a few years were answered, and things begin to get clearer, rather than just a line item that we have. There's a lot behind it that leads to that number, and very beneficial for future deliberations, as far as, with the Old Colony, is what, because it seems that, some changes in the may be forthcoming, but it's gonna take a couple of years, in my estimation,
Yeah.
to really get going, and that's, when they talk about expansion or modernization of the facility, the updating, with changing technology and directions of, we're taking, in occupations that, I think there's, just by, the discussion and what I saw, it's, I can see something that, expansion
Yeah.
in direction is going to be required. And so the more information we have, this body, it can help guide town meeting members as far as future votes. That's my,
Well, our enrollment was down, I think, three students.
I think it's 6.
I believe it's 3 students, but the school itself is at the maximum enrollment, and they have an extensive waiting list of students that have applied to go there that they just can't accommodate.
6, we're down 6.
Without 6?
Yeah. Yep.
we may think it's good financially not to have a drop, but on the other hand, with the, as far as the education of the, many, of the students, as far as what opportunities they have in life, for us as a town to have a drop-off, I think that is a concern, should be a concern in the sense that, because I say it's life-changing type of direction when they are successful from Old Colony. So,
they're outreaching a lot, to different communities with the programs that they have and the opportunities that they have, and they're highlighting a number of graduate students that have, been successful in different careers, and they're posting them on their websites. They're doing a lot more community outreach, which I thought was good, presenting the school in a different light than what a lot of people see it.
yes, and I think their higher education placements are growing. Students going, to higher education. I like to see that compared, maybe with some questions, compared with what Fairhaven High School is doing, for example, as far as, higher education placements versus, Old Colony.
We get that information from the school committee when they come in.
Yeah, they can request
Are you
it.
having them come in, the Old Colony?
Probably not unless, unless the body wants them to.
We have Board of Selectmen want to do it, so they can, we can let you know when they're coming, and you guys can attend at the same time.
That'll be okay, sure. That would have to be after that March meeting, March 5th. So we can mention it to them, and I'm sure they'd welcome the opportunity of coming and being able to showcase their schools.
Yeah.
Do we know if Old Colony has the ability to expand, to take on more students? Since there's such a need, with applicants trying to get in there?
They're looking at that right now.
Yeah.
For expansion, yeah.
So, it would be a huge capital cost
Yeah.
that they would have to go to all the member towns to have it approved. It would probably be a big capital cost to be able to accommodate more students.
They can't do it within the existing footprint. It would require an expansion.
I was going to follow some of the future funding, whether how much reimbursement they get from the Commonwealth as far as, in expansion programs. Whether the Commonwealth wants to move into directions, in a direction where we need vocational schools for, say, training, we talked about, for clean energy enterprises. Well, maybe they can start putting money into the vocational schools in order to, more than what's existing, in order, for some of the, as I say, the growing green, the green programs are coming, and what they need as far as skilled workers. So I think
The school's also exploring a partnership with the businesses, like the solar businesses, and exploring the possibility of partnering with different job opportunities, different businesses that would require specialized training for their employees that school. They seem pretty proactive from the information that they provided at that meeting, that they're going in that direction. So I was pretty encouraged with the meeting and the content. That's all I have on the old business. Anyone else have old business?
Bob, how many more budgets do we have left? If it's the school?
No, we've got several budgets left. We have
Got the pinky.
the planning board, we have the school department, have Old Colony, selectmen. We finish all the selectmen budgets, Brian?
Yes, we did. Oh, the technology one is the only one outstanding. We should have Chris Oliver come in for that one.
Okay.
So I'll work with Kathy to try to arrange the time that can happen. And technology one's the toughest one. I mean, like, we just had to replace the 6 computers in the treasurer collector's office, because they were horribly out of date, and that had not come up in a previous audit of how old those machines were. So we've changed as we install new computers, we're naming them with the date they were installed. So you can just look down the list of computers on the network and you can tell the age of them. Life will be a lot better.
That's basically.
So who do we have next week?
Do we have
Do we
don't
have
have anyone
next
for
week?
next week?
No one?
What's the consensus when we first
Yeah, we said we
began?
weren't gonna meet next week, right?
Right, because of the
Oh, okay, that's right, yeah.
we normally.
I think at the
travel
next
to-
meeting, I'll give you a preliminary list of the articles. They haven't obviously been accepted by the Board of Selectmen, but I'll give you basically what I've got in the request list. Maybe attach a price to it, just be a spreadsheet. Won't be a lot of explanation, just be, thing, price, maybe the department that requested it.
Going back to the issue that John raised there regarding the salaries here, I mean, just looking at the increases of the salaries of all the different budgets, I mean, we've got some substantial salary increase requests here that,
Is that mainly due to the wage classification?
well, that's it, I mean, we're gonna,
You got the two things, you got 5 union contracts that settled this year. All 5. Well, all 5 will have settled this year. And so that's the big thing. You don't do, all our contracts expire in the same year. So you go a couple of years with the auditing thing, and then on the 3rd year, it's a biggie. So, and then, of course, we got the wage classification, which comes in on the heel of that. Logically, if we've given the union a raise, then the management, who manages the union employees, is looking for an adjustment. Unfortunately, I think the wage classification is going to take the steam out of that. But one of the advantages of the one of the disadvantages in the first year of the wage classification is you have to put everybody into the wage classification. So it identifies those that are under, and it actually identifies those that are over, but you don't take money away. So, but once we get them in, this should be a much more orderly transition to logical application of an equitable formula of determining compensation. And this is not, we're giving money away left and right. It means that we're making sure that we're in compliance, that we have a system that our employees understand and that is equitable to both the taxpayer and to the employee. And more importantly, keeps us out of trouble with the Pay Equity Act that was passed last year, so that we have a theory and a philosophy and a policy about how we approach this in the future.
So all municipalities are mandated to have a wage classification?
Mandated, no, because the state won't mandate it, but if you don't, you're pretty foolish. Because somebody's gonna sue you.
Yeah.
Well, also, we've got to find out how much money we have to work with,
right.
and then if then we may have to look at what's going to be, priorities,
Exactly.
so we can talk about wage and classification studies, we can talk about, they have to be funded, but then we're going to start, we're going to start the other way and say, hey, we got so much to work with, and so I think that
If the selectmen
we don't have to usually.
accept it, it's gonna be a rough year
Well, we don't have to.
to get everybody established.
Yeah, it's a,
I don't think it's
we're
gonna
the
be-
final answer.
Honestly, I don't think it's gonna be as bad as you think.
No?
We're not that far out at all. There's a couple here and there, but we've identified them. I don't think it's gonna be a problem. It's not gonna be free, but it's not gonna be a nightmare.
At first blush, I mean, it looks like there's significant increases in a lot of these.
I think we should break it out,
In the-
make a breakout as far as what the increase in administrative salaries are generally in the budget, you know.
Sure.
So we understand that.
And the union, excluding the union, so you want to think, do you want to do town hall salaries or management salaries?
Managers primary, administrative, what would be considered administrative?
Non-union administration.
Okay.
Okay, we can do that. Yep. That's not a problem.
Because we don't know, as I said, how much money we've got to work with. I think that's before we, other than that,
Selectmen
we're
gotta
just
approve.
shooting in the dark.
They're about a third of the way through, and they're making strides.
Yeah.
We just look at the numbers, we don't look at the job performances and evaluations of the personnel. So we're missing a big piece of that information because we don't have it. And we're asked to make recommendations without, just being blind as far as that.
I mean, I don't think, there's no secret, once the decision has been made down the line of, adopting the program and putting people into the program. So at some point, as we get that completed prior to the town meeting, where the article is there, I think we could have a presentation on it, and so you could exactly see who, what, where, why, and when.
Any other new business to discuss? Well, that takes care of the business for this evening, so our next meeting will be the
Week after next.
week after next, on a Wednesday,
27?
The 27th.
27th.
Is that the school? Who's that?
That would be the school, if we could. Kathy, do we ever hear back from them?
No, I had emailed her and she was supposed to get back to me with a couple of dates.
If you need me to,
Yeah, so I'll,
put some muscle on them.
That,
It'd have to be that joint meeting, right?
Yeah, it would have to be a triple meeting,
Triple meeting.
yeah. And the only place large enough to accommodate that would really be the school.
So is that all we have on that meeting, the 27th?
That's all she should have on that meeting, a
Just the
transfer and
school right now?
just leave it to school, because that'll monopolize your
So that's
evening.
tentative? That's tentative then, it's not.
Yeah, that's tentative, we don't have a confirmation yet from,
I'll
school.
check back with her.
motion to adjourn?
what's that?
Motion to adjourn? Do we have anything else?
Yeah, we'll just have to keep the members apprised of, what the situation is on that, and whether or not we'll have roll calling on the same night.
You could if you wanted to, sure. I think that the school budget in itself is
Takes out the
enormous.
whole-
Yeah, that's,
Yeah,
So I think it's aggressive if you try to do it on the same night.
yeah, agreed.
okay, we'll just be in touch with, we'll try to schedule the school for the 27th. Does that work with the selectmen as well?
If I get confirmation that they're available, I can make sure it does.
Okay.
So,
So you'll coordinate that?
yeah.
Very good.
Motion to
Your
adjourn?
motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So voted, we are adjourned.